Hey there and welcome to my channel. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to prototype some shaker style doors that I plan on making later. This is going to be a test to see if my rationale works on a small scale, and then I will be able to move it up into a larger scale and make shaker style doors for some projects I'm working on in the house. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have a little piece of MDF in my shop and I've screwed it to my board, and it's about 4 inches tall and quite long, but I'm only going to use a small amount. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make an outline of my box, and this is going to be my door, and I'm going to change the cut to cut outside the path, and I'm going to go all the way through, and I'm going to change my bit to 1/8 inch bit. And as I do that, you will see that it will add tabs to the cut. So I have those there. So that's the outside, and then I'm going to place another square on the inside, and I'm just going to make it like that. Okay, and that's pretty much all I'm going to do right now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this 5 times. And each layer is going to have a different purpose. So this first one, I want to tool out the middle of this door. So I'm going to change my bit to 22 millimeter surfacing bit. And you'll see that it does that to the outside. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to click that line, and I'm going to delete it. And what I wanted to do was tool the inside. So that's what that has done. And I'm pretty much done with this one. So the next thing I want to do is I don't want the outside on the next layer. I've tooled this, but actually what I want to do is I want to clean up the corners of this. So now I'm going to change my path, and I want to cut on the shape path, and I've got a 1/8 inch bit, and all that's going to do, and it's going to go down 1/8. I should make sure that my other path here was 1/8. Okay, and what that's going to do is it's going to clean up the corners, whereas on this one it's going to leave that corner there. So 1/8 bit is going to clean those corners. Okay, I'm going to move on to my third layer. Now I don't need this outside path, so I'm going to delete that. And I want this path, but what I want to do, I've cleaned up the corners. Now I'm going to change my bit. I'm going to make it at 1/8. I'm going to cut on the shape path, and I'm going to change my bit to a 60-degree V bit. And what that's going to do, you'll see over here, is it's going to angle that side. So it makes it a little bit nicer. It's not a straight 90-degree angle on that cut. So that's just going to add a little bit of detail on the inside. Now, I could have done this step in the exact same way, but I'm now going to go to the 4th square, and I'm going to delete the middle one now. delete that, don't need it. And then on this path, I'm going to use that 60-degree bit, and I'm going to go down 1/8 of an inch, okay, and it's going to give me that angled edge all the way around, and I want to cut, I'm going to cut on the path, okay, and then the last step I'm going to take is I'm going to cut all the way through, so I don't need the middle, and I want to use a 1/8 bit here, and I want to cut all the way through. It's going to add tabs there, and I want to cut on the outside of the shape path. Okay, so I've done planning that, and now all I'm going to do is send it. I'm going to save these so I could rename and go step 1, and that's exactly what it has there. Rename. Okay, rename, and then all I'm going to do now is I'm going to export the G code. So I'm going to go download G code, and I'm going to go through each layer and download that G code. So the first tool we used was the 22mm bit, and this is the first time I've used my auto zeroing plate, and I can honestly say that I'm not sure if I did it correctly. The bit worked quite well. It pocketed that shaker style hole there, or that pocket, and it left round corners, which we knew it was going to, but it did exactly what it was supposed to do. The next step was the 1/8 inch downcut bit, and it was supposed to clean up the corners and make them square, as you will see. And the only thing that I can say about this part is maybe I didn't have my tools zeroed correctly, but what it did was cleaned up the corners really nicely, but it left a tool path in its way that was a little bit deeper than the pocketed hole. So as you can see, in the first path it's okay. I was a little worried that it wouldn't clean the corners, but it worked quite well. Now we added the 60-degree V-bit, and all that was going to do was give a little bit of a chamfer on the outside of that shaker style, so it wasn't a 90-degree pocket. Now I'm only using 1/4 inch ply or MDF, so I don't know if you can really see it great, but if we went down a little bit deeper, maybe a quarter of an inch on a 3/4 inch MDF piece, I think you would see that tool path a little bit better. So as you can see, that 1/8 bit kind of left a little bit of an indentation that I didn't like, but I think it might have been a zeroing problem on my machine and not the program. After this, we're going to go around with the same bit, and it's just going to create an edge for that door, and it's just going to round off and give a nice angle to the side of the door. And lastly, we're going to use that 1/8 inch bit again to cut out the rest of this door. Now I've used tabs, and the only complaint I have is that either my zeroing wasn't correct or I didn't set it deep enough, so it didn't cut all the way through, which wasn't a big deal. It was a test run, but I will have to fine-tune that in the future.